Thank you very much for your presentation. And next we have Israel.
Hello, everybody. First of all, thanks for this invitation to ITA and also Restauro. You can hear me there, Yotam? And thank you for the opportunity to present something from our country and to present in front of you the partners of this event. Okay. Israel is characterized by a huge amount of variety of cultural heritage sites spanning a long period, communities, and religions. And Israel located in a crossroad between continents that made it a crucial bridge for nature, human, and culture passing through, like Lebanon, is the same thing. And this map from 1581 presenting Jerusalem in the center of the world, and America was still a young continent on its side. And in Israel we have 44,000 archaeological sites, that they are almost 20% of the land of the country. And we have a variety of sites like Masada. It's we can see here the Northern Palace that was built by Great Herod. It's World Heritage Site. This is another World Heritage Site, Bet Guvrin, Heliotropolis. I'm very proud that I'm the excavator of this site. We have the old city of Acre, that it's a World Heritage Site as well. And what you can see here, that the fabric of the recent and Ottoman period old city, but beneath it we have another city hiding there that was the Crusader from the Crusader period and was the capital of the Crusader period in the Second Kingdom of Jerusalem. Just to have imagine what you have beneath it, and you can visit it. And you have a drone from 1682 just to have imagine the Crusader city in its ruin. We have historical sites like the International Style in Tel Aviv, some houses, the Brutalist concrete building in Beersheba, in other places in Israel. And the legal frame it's very challenging. We have two laws and one amendment. The first one is the law antiquity, and we heard it from the British mandate, and one of the challenging is because it's reached 1700 only. So all the archaeological sites and maybe the early historical sites are protected, but all what was done after 1700, it's quite without protection. The second law is quite simple, it's National Park Authority law. And in the national parks and reserve, it's quite obvious that it's protected. And the amendment of the planning and construction law, it's something that try to bridge this gap, but one of the problematic of it that it's in the hand and control of the authorities, the municipalities, so you can understand that it's challenging. Another challenge is the responsibility of protection, that is divided among a lot of ministries, organizations, and we don't have, like in Italy, for example, the Italian culture minister that is responsible for everything of cultural property. And we have some ministries, I said, the main organizations is the Israel Antiquity Authority, National Park Authority, and the Council for Conservation of Heritage Sites in Israel, and some other international branch that are working in Israel. And the last one, in the bottom, this is a community. It's aggregation of the built heritage conservators. That it's something voluntary body. I'm coordinating it. Yotam is one of the steering committee. We don't have the state recognition, but all these organizations that I mentioned recognize us, and we make quite a noise, and we hope to stabilize it. Speaking about historical monument, you can see here the first Hebrew school in Tel Aviv in 1909. This was the Gymnasia of Herzliya. And in 1916, it was demolished. It was demolished for the building of the Shalom Tower. And in 1960, it was the highest skyscraper in the Middle East. You can imagine yourself. But it was very traumatic, and it's boosted protest and raised the awareness of public opinion. And this was one of the reasons to the establishing of this Council for Conservation of Heritage Site in Israel. You see the logo itself, it's the symbol, iconic symbol of this demolished gymnasium. And this is an NGO that leading a lot of struggles where the monuments aren't protected. Sometimes with success, sometimes without. But in the last 2 decades, there is a rise or an increase of the conservation market. In the last decade, we were just starting with annual conservation conferences, international exhibitions, publication, training courses, and a lot of activity. Of course, the challenge in the country is that we have just a few large restoration companies, 3 or 4 only. And most of the work in archaeological site made by the organizations, the state organizations, and the restoration project managed by non-recognized conservator. As I said before, we are lack of recognition and accreditation of the state. As I told you, our aggregation is recognized by the organization, and we have a list of conservators. Today we are 110, half private and half from the organization. And one of the success in some bid, there is requirement of a conservator from that list. Some of the projects which we have done recently, this is a national park on the cliff just near the Lake of Galilee. Very challenging. It's Arbel Fortress from the Ottoman period. This is one of the towers. Here we can see a lot of them in Israel. I don't know another one. It's from the 14th century in Ramle. We have the royal chamber in Herodion. That was built by a great Herod in his palace. And you can see the fresco there. Another Montfort, it's in Western Galilee. It's a Crusader fortress, a work that made by the National Park Authority, and one of the best preserved Gothic style vaults that we have. And in historical environment, we have here the plan of Sarona. It was a settlement that was settled by the German Templars that came in the end of the 19th century. And in the beginning, it was very distant from the city of Tel Aviv, but today it's just in the middle of Tel Aviv. And it was a challenge to preserve this fabric. One of the things that was done is all the first line was cut. In the bottom, it was shift 30 meters to make able the expansion of the road. I visited the place last week, and you can see the crans around it just trying to swallow this little oasis. Of course, we have the white city of Tel Aviv. It's World Heritage Site, and it's very challenging with the highest price of the real estate in Tel Aviv, one of the highest, I think, in the world. You can see some preserved houses in Tel Aviv, in other places, even in the rural sector, in Mishmar HaEmek. And one of the solutions is to give incentives to the constructor and owner in purpose to preserve the houses. And one of the solutions is the addition on existing building. You can see two examples. Some are good, some are less. Or, for example, another solution, you can like it or not. I don't like it, but this is the situation. Our requirement, we would like to collaborate with Italy, but I open the stage for everybody. It's in training. Our conservator were taught in Italy, sometime coming individually to learn in Italy, and some master from Italy that came for us. You can see on the right and bottom Maurizio Taglia Pietra, one of the masters that is working in Masada in the 90s, and even 4 years ago still is working in Caesarea. There are some adaptation of historical buildings. This is in Akko. Yotam was involved in this project. A group of Italians restored the painting in the ceiling. I brought the photo from Nazareth. You can see the Church of the Annunciation. That I heard that Franco worked there, and the Italian group worked there. But the challenge is to conserve the historical living cities, especially in the Arab sector, and the Italian can bridge this gap that it's very needed. And you can see the situation of the building just in front of the church. And unfortunately, the fabric of the old core of the nucleus of the Arab villages is disappearing. So this is a call. And this is the bridge of El Majmia. It's on the river of Jordan. This is from 1906. And this was a result of warfare. And with the help of the Italian Ministry of Culture, we set up a project. You must understand that the Jordan River, in the middle of it, passed the border between us and Jordan. So half of the bridge is ours and the other of Jordan. And it's beautiful scaffold. And this is the result of this project. It was 10 years ago almost. I brought another two examples to show you the opportunity and the advantage of collaborating and what we can do with it. This is about risk preparedness. It's begun with a conference of UNESCO, supported by the Italian Ministry of Culture. Later on with a project that was coordinated by the University of Padova. And on the right hand, you can see a reminder from earthquake that it's from the 749 that devastated the city of Bet Shan. And we are in a seismic area, of course. And from this collaboration, we start with the University of Padova to make assessment and mitigation of seismic risk in a scale of urban scale and buildings, We made with them monitoring of, this is the Citadel of David in Jerusalem. And one of the results is the technical guideline and planning of intervention in historical building. This is first of a kind that we have in Israel, in Hebrew. Another project that we were collaborating was with Paese, with Italian civil protection. It was a protecting of Mediterranean heritage during disaster with partner from Jordan and the Palestinian Authority. And it was a very fruitful one. And it's boosted in our country the forum of the Paese. And we put to the table all the organizations that dealing with cultural heritage, the biggest museum, and the emergency bodies like firefighter, police, etc. And we began to make some exercise. Again, I'm the coordinator of this project as well. And we set up some series of publication. We wrote the national doctrine that still not adopted, but we have a guideline of aircraft, and it's used in the big museum, recognized museum. I downloaded from the internet because this is a subject that we didn't deal it with, a base for an aircraft event, and we have an open occasion to continue it. And here, with the comparison with the firefighter, the Vigili del Fuoco of the Italian, we are going to create some bodies that can respond in emergency situation that will be composed from conservators. Of course, I'm speaking about cultural heritage. And we tend to, it may be a dream, but we tend to create a conservation center. That the previous one that was called the International Conservation Center Città di Roma was burned, as you can see. And one of the ideas to make a kind of school, training, a workshop, a delegation, exhibition, etc., etc. We have the place, we need the content. And the last thing, just last April, we applied to the Europe Horizon it's called a Recraft project, to safeguarding the knowledge and the technology of the ancient time. And we hope that we shall succeed. And thank you for your attention.